we're going to explore how to check if a Pandas data frame is empty in Python. There are several ways to accomplish this, each with its own advantages. Let's go through them. 1. Checking the shape. The simplest method leverages the data frame's shape attribute. The shape attribute returns a tuple representing the dimensions of the data frame, rows, columns. An empty data frame will have a shape of 0, number of columns. We can check if the number of rows is 0. This is very efficient. For example, if my DataFrame.shape is 0, would be a simple condition to check. 2. Checking the size. Similar to using shape, you can utilize the size attribute. The size attribute returns the total number of elements, rows, columns, in the data frame. Empty data frame will have a size of 0. You would use a condition like, if my data frame size equals 0. 3. Checking the empty attribute. Pandas data frames have a built-in Boolean attribute called empty. This attribute directly reflects whether the data frame is empty or not. It's the most straightforward and readable approach. You simply check if my data frame empty is true. 4. Using bool. You can also cast the data frame to a Boolean value. An empty data frame will evaluate to false in a Boolean context. This works because the bool function interprets the emptiness of the data frame. Using this method would look like, if bool my data frame. Remember that this will also evaluate to false if there are just columns but no rows. It's less explicit than the empty attribute. 5. Checking the index length. A more verbose but equally effective method is to check the length of the data frame's index. Index holds the row labels. An empty data frame has an empty index. The code would be, if len my data frame.index equals 0. In summary, all the above methods can effectively determine whether your Pandas data frame is empty. However, using the empty attribute, if my data frame empty, true, or simply if my data frame empty, offers the best combination of clarity, efficiency, and directness. It's the most Pythonic and easily understood way to check for an empty data frame. The other methods are also valid, but are slightly less concise and potentially less efficient in comparison. Remember to always choose the approach that improves the readability and maintainability of your code. Using the empty attribute is generally recommended as the best